First, let me just re-announce the date of January 8th, 2024.
All you got to do is just go ahead and walk in the footprints. Grace on myself, because what if none of us had been open?
Why did you put me on the spot this way? With one?
Welcome to Since Monday, where we flip the script on the most hated day of the week. I'm Jamila, and joining me are my Ride or Live co-hosts, Dana Marie and Candace. Are you ready to turn Mondays upside down? Today, we're kicking things off by unraveling the phenomenal tale of how Since Monday came to life on January 8th, 2024. Trust me, it's anything but ordinary. Every week, we're going to go after Monday myths as well that could have something to do with Mondays or just another myth that we want to discuss. So let's get into it and start this week with some energy. How are you ladies doing this week? How y'all doing?
Excellent.
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm blessed. I truly can't complain. Anytime we get to come together, whether that's virtually or in person, it blesses my heart and my soul. So I'm good. That's why I got this big cheesy smile on my face. That is the energy. That's the energy. And I thought no better way to start and kick off our podcast, but then to talk about how we actually got here. So I don't know who wants to take it, but tell the audience how Since Monday started.
First, let me just re-announce the date of January 8th, 2024. But there were a couple of things that stand out for me that led to January 8th, 2024. And I can only speak for myself. And as I, kind of take a step back and look at the journey of how I landed in Since Monday, I do have to go back and reflect on this declaration I made when I was 21 years old, that I was not going to be in relationship with women. So I said it to my therapist, like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. My friends are males and I'm going to be in relationships with them. And she obviously coached me through that, right? But fast forward all the way to, I would say about, and Dana, keep me honest, about August, I had done so much work. And this is August 2023. I had done so much work around just matters of my own heart, how I felt about God, how I felt about myself. And I think I was just super open by this time to receive love differently. And so I've been knowing Jamila for a long, long time, but in August 2023, when I met Dana virtually, the words that came out of her mouth poured directly in my heart. And I was like, okay, we're going to be friends. And I'm not the type to be up in people's DMs, you know what I'm talking about? But I was like, let me send her a message and just tell her that that I really appreciated how she, shared, and that, let's connect further. So Jamila and I have been friends for 10 years. I have a brand new sister who I'm building a relationship with, Dana. And on January 8th, 2024, it was some other events. These two ladies on the screen right now were saying the same thing to me in the same day. And I was just like, okay, Lord. And then I'm having text message conversations separately, and y'all basically saying the same thing. Wasn't the first time it happened, but, and then we agreed pretty quickly that we would, meet that day and just connect deeper with one another, get to know one another as a group versus the individual relationships that I have with each of you. And I would say it was divine. It was divine time. The smile you see on my face is just me reminiscing on the day that we all three connected, but more importantly, how present God was from the inception of our relationship, and then how present it's taught me to be being in relationship with you all. So I'm sure I'll share more later, but we were obedient to the Spirit of the Lord, if y'all need a church answer. And we started Since Monday on January 8th, 2024. Rooted in love.
I love that. That blessed me. You were going to say, Dana?
Nothing after that. Absolutely nothing.
Man, she really encapsulated, I think, from my vantage point. I kept hearing the name. And for me, I'm protective by nature over the ones that I care about. And I've known, as Candace mentioned, I've known Candace from the workplace since, I think, 2013 or something like that, 2013 or 2014. So we've known each other right at a decade now, a little bit over a decade. And so I would hear the name, not every day, but I would just hear Dana Marie, which is, a great name, right? So I'd hear this name and these great things. I was like, oh, okay. But I wouldn't say anything. And that's kind of my nature, right? So Candace is probably like, she ain't really saying anything, but you're sharing some of the things that she's sharing in this virtual space. But then as you guys started to connect, and I really don't move, to your point, until God moves me, if that makes sense. So I was going through something during that same time that I didn't realize I was even going through until we went to Transformation, their conference back in, I guess it was late September or early October or somewhere in there, in October of 23. And it hit my spirit that I needed to be in a situation where someone was pouring into me and that I could be accountable to. But in my mind, my carnal, earthly mind, I thought that meant someone possibly that I already knew. I pretty much was convinced of that. But at the same time, I didn't go to seek out that accountability. I just sat back and I said, okay, this is what I know is to come. So I'm going to go do what I normally do towards the end of the year, which is really start investing in myself, learning new things, investing in myself spiritually, mentally, whatever, physically, whatever that may be, to prepare me for the next season. And so I was just chilling. I was waiting, chilling. And then you and Dana recorded a live for our other podcast on YouTube. And for whatever reason, because I coach, I was able to listen to it live. And I think that part is so important from my perspective and version of the story and how I experienced it. I was able to listen to it live. Most often I'm editing and doing the behind the scenes on our podcast after it's already been recorded. After the live has been done, I'm repackaging it. I'm not necessarily watching it live, and I had the opportunity to watch it live.
Because God.
Because God. And Dana had on a God Chose Me hoodie from Riley O Designs, and I was like, man, that thing looked crisp. That's the first thing I said. I was like, man, that sweatshirt looked crisp. Where's mine at? I'm having like a mini little temper tantrum. Where's my hoodie, right? And then once I got past that, because I literally, if you can go back and look at the live comments, I put that in the comments, like that sweatshirt was crisp. So it caught my attention.
And had a conversation with me that night.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Because look, my favorite color is red. She had on a red God Chose Me hoodie. I had just had this life-changing experience at Transformation, which is where that phrase began to resonate for both of us. And so she had on the hoodie. And I'm like, man, so she, like, how did this happen before my shipment came, right? So I was super jealous. Let's just call it what it was. And I wanted a hoodie. I digressed. I got my hoodie, just so y'all know. And so once I started listening to what they were talking about, which, money matters, was really what they were talking about. And I actually re-listened to that YouTube live here just in the last 48 hours. And number one, that's a topic that I love already. So I was very intrigued by the information and the gems Dana was spitting. But then something hit me and I was just like, man, there's something about this queen that is just like, it's different. Her vibe, her energy, it's different. And I was just like, this is Dana Marie at this point. And so then fast forward a few weeks later, I'm in a virtual audio room and she's at it again and just spitting hot fire, just like gem on gem on gem on gem. And I'm like, man, this is different. And at that point, I hit Candace up, and we always behind the scenes. This has been a trademark of our relationship. If we're in a meeting, if we're in some type of Zoom situation, there's a back channel discussion happening. And we were having our back channel discussion. I'm just like, man, who is this? What's going on? Like, man, I'm like, she the bomb. And so to Candace's point, this is where Candace starts talking about how Dana's texting Candace, I'm texting Candace, and she's getting overwhelmed. My sister is not a texter.
I'm screenshotting y'all pictures. Look what she said. Well, look what she said. It was a lot.
And we were going back and forth about all kinds of stuff this entire January 8th. And I was just like, let's hop on a Zoom later if y'all have time, right? Once she put us in a group text. because I knew for whatever reason, I knew something was different about this virtual connection that we were all having in this moment. And I was like, let's hop on a Zoom. I want to not even validate what I was feeling, but I was ready to deepen the relationship at that point. Like, let's lock this in right now. Like, I'm not about to wait. I'm not about to, be like, let me see, have those reservations that sometimes we can have when we're approached with new relationships. I was like, nah, let's lock this in now. So we hopped on a Zoom, and let's just be clear. Jamila don't hop on Zooms. Okay. That is not my ministry. I don't like to meet. I have residual burnout from meetings in corporate America. So Candace knew when I said that, she was like in utter shock. I can remember, like,
She wants to get on a Zoom for what? To do what?
And why? And what's going on? Like, literally, I know she was in complete shock. And so once we got on the Zoom, I think it was like 6 or 7 Central Time, and we were on till like midnight, talking. And I mean, when I say about any and everything, no subject was off limits, no topic was off limits. The transparency, the vulnerability, it was at an all-time high. It was exactly what I know I personally needed, and I felt like you two at the same time in that exact moment needed as well. And as Candace said, it was absolutely divine. So that's from my perspective how we got to Sense Monday.
I am trying very, 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 very hard over here to hold back tears. Like, I can feel my left eye, like the water just wants to just flow like right on out. Because every time I think about how Sense Monday came about, the only thing I can think about is that it was just absolutely God. Candace and I had started, chatting a bit. But even looking back on that, Candace, I gotta say, like, and I shared this with you before, I feel like I still didn't, I wasn't as open, I guess, because it was still like, I'm not really sure, right? It bugged me for a long time. Like, after Candace mentioned, she had texted me and asked me, what I was doing, and she was sitting Newark Airport for a couple of hours, like she had a layover, and I was like, where was I that I couldn't come, be with you? And then looking back, I realized I was working a night gig. But I do believe in God's timing, right? So, and I'm so grateful that Kansas didn't hold that against me, right? Because now you're building a relationship with someone, and for many people, this could just be, well, let me see how this thing works out. But she still invited me to, go on 5-minute career hack and have this conversation. Lo and behold, the day that we are set to record, I get mail, and it was my beautiful sweatshirt. And I was like, oh, let me take this other shirt off and wear this, because this is popping right here. Yes, God chose me. And
Yes, it did.
man, the more I just reflect back on all of the bits and pieces that happened from now until then, it's really, I'm still in awe. I still have no real description of what this is other than let God be God, right? And for me, I think I was just at the point in my life that I was like, okay, I'll try to do a lot of things my way. And every time I tried to do it my way, there was a course correct, right? And, Jehovah gonna course correct you, child, whether you want that course correction or not. He didn't say take street A and you went down street B and now you all the way at F. And you're like, well, how the heck do I make a U-turn? And by the time you turn all the way back around, you didn't spend some time in the wilderness. And that's kind of how some of my relationships with women were in the wilderness. There was no let's pray together. There was no, so this is just foundational stuff, right? It might be, oh girl, if you're going through something, I'm gonna pray for you. And you got to be careful about who's praying for you, because everybody ain't praying for you. So those little things that happened in the past, I just was like, I don't want to go into this season of my life having those scars still show as open wounds, right? Because, here we are, we were in transition season, right? Whether we want to admit it or not, we were in transition season for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was closing out the end of the year. We were going into the new year. I was going into a new birthday, a new year of living, a new cycle around the sun. We were going into new relationships. Even though we didn't know what this thing really was, we knew from the beginning that, oh, you stuck with me like glue. I don't care how you feel. I don't care, how you went to bed yesterday. I don't care how you woke up today. I don't care how your day went. But you stuck with me, right? And we made a commitment. It sounds kind of weird, perhaps, to people looking from the outside, because anytime, and this can happen in any situation, anytime you have a friendship that's already developed, a 10-year, really sisterhood that's already been developed, for someone to come in and say, well, um, it feels like I've already been here, even though I'm still learning, right? Um, you've got to be coming from a really authentic place, a really vulnerable place, because two people already have shared those moments. They've already shared, a certain level of themselves that now you're getting to learn. And in order for them to know you as well, you've got to be open and vulnerable. So at that point in my life, in transition, going into this new season, I said, okay, God, I did a lot of things my way. Whatever happens in this year, I don't want it to be on Dana. I want it to be what God already, He did it. He already paved the way, child. All you got to do is just go ahead and walk in the footprints. Like, stop trying to create your own footprints. Stop trying to, I want this friend. I don't want that friend. And I'm like most women, right? I have experienced sister hurt, right? Where I got your back in front of your face, but behind your back, I ain't got you. You on your own, right? And I, of like you kids, for a long time, I just didn't feel like I wanted to be in relationships with women on a deep level, right? We could be surface friends, like we can do all of the surface stuff, right? But on a deep level, it was like, no, I'm kind of good on that. But God, right? God said, well, that's not really what I had chose for you. But I'm gonna let you keep walking through them doors that I ain't tell you to walk through, because those ain't the people I told you to be sisters with. But you wanted them, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you try, girl. And then coming into this, it was just like, I always say this to y'all, right? It's easy. And I shared, a phrase that I kind of like, this is how I was feeling. It was as simple and easy as breathing. And that's what the relationship for me is. And I don't really have any recollection of one woman other than my mother that I probably prayed with on a deep level, worship with, like, BBTC and virtually.
We got our own tribe.
Listen, last week I was like, we're gonna have to talk to Pastor Mike, let him know what happened over here, child, because I don't think he know.
I don't think you understand.
We formed a small group.
We really have. We really have.
But it's just one of those things, like, it's just to sense what my sisters are sensing, and we are all in different places. We're in different states. We're in different stages in our lives, right? But to still be able to sense, like, okay, no, I need to, this ain't just a regular check-in. And to me, that's when I really understood this was about God. It wasn't about me, because how do I sense those things about perfect strangers? If a book had to be written about it, it would be totally off script. And I think, while I was surprised that you both were like, let's go to Jersey, for Dana's birthday, I was more in awe of, who are these people? Like, that's just gonna hop on a plane.
Who are they?
Who these people is?
Mom, do you want them? Do you want like?
And then to spend time together the way that we did, And every time we have since then, right? It's just like as simple as breathing, as easy as just inhaling, right? I don't have to worry about what I say. I don't have to worry about a difference of opinion. I don't have to worry about I don't want to do this today. I don't have to worry about conflict resolution. How about that? Let's borrow a word from corporate conflict resolution. I don't have to worry. There's no, there is so much purity here. It oftentimes um, makes me pause and understand the importance of grace on myself, because what if none of us had been open to this thing that God wanted to bring about? Because it could not have happened. And I'm saying this based on the history, right? It could not have happened this way with just two. It couldn't have happened this way with, let's, you know, find a different way in. God's timing was so perfect with Since Monday that I really don't think it's something that many people will ever understand until they have a mindset shift and a heart shift, like you were saying, Jamila, because that's what happened, I think, with the three of us. The alignment was perfect. The timing was God's timing. I mean, at this stage of my life, I could really be like, no new friends. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not looking any. If God say yes, I'll say yes. But what I know with Since Monday is God said this, and I said, okay.
Okay.
Right. So that's, man. And since Monday,
Right. There were a few things you mentioned there from what I think is so unique about God's timing and how he prepared us in the different seasons that we've had in our lives, where we, all three of us, probably were not open, let's say July of last year. Or like not open. Like I'm so good. Like, and not even in a way that I'm out here telling people that. It's just that's how settled in that state I think all three of us were.
Yeah.
So I think
Jamila,
that's
you were gonna be
key.
my only friend. You were gonna be my
Like
only friend.
that's like so key. And I think the fact that we're all in different stages, just based upon our age in life, based upon our marital status, like we're kids, me with no kids. I just think we're all in some different season of life that is unique to each of us individually, but necessary for how we came together. If that makes sense.
absolutely.
I thought that was such a good point, and I think sometimes, like you said,
Well, I
we have
shared
this
that.
script.
Yeah. And I shared that too. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jay.
No,
I
go
shared,
ahead.
I shared like, you guys might not have gotten this Dana at 35, right? I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I might not have gotten, this Jamila 4 years ago. I might not have gotten this Candace 7 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
So that's when we look at how God, God had to take us through some
Yeah.
things. Right. And I think too, that's why we appreciate each other as much, because of the experiences that we've gone through in life. I didn't mean to cut
Absolutely.
you off,
No,
Jay.
that's good, and it's ultimately what I was hinting at, and I think collectively because of that, and because of the overwhelming spirit of God in that moment, it was like a blanket just dropped right over us in three different states at one time, and there was no denying it. The only option was surrender, and it was such a willing surrender of our heart, mind, soul, it was just, here you go. I'm good. And it's, when I tell you, I'm not going to say it's not my nature, right? But it's not how I showed up in the world prior to that point, if that makes sense. It's just a
Me
total
three.
opposite,
Me
total
three.
opposite. So
Yeah.
I think just being able to share this with the audience as far as how Since Monday came about, and then maybe just take a few minutes before we wrap up, because I think the Monday myth that we've dispelled this week without even realizing it is that, you know, number one, God is the author and the greatest architect of all these situations. And sometimes, like you said, we have this script about the relationships we want to be in. The man I want has to be this tall, this, that, and the third, and he has to look like this and walk like this and talk like this and do this job and make this much money and all this stuff that we've scripted. And God says, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans for good, not for evil, to give you a hope and a future. So I think that's the myth that we dispel, that everything that we may want in our little pea-sized brain on earth is not what God has planned for us. And the more we're open to the things that he has for us, you'll have these rewarding situations, these rewarding relationships, businesses, whatever it may be, that will just develop out of nowhere and surprise you, sweep you off your feet, and have you guessing about your whole existence, because all of a sudden you're moving different, you're talking different, you're acting different. And I think that's the myth that we've dispelled with Since Monday. So since Monday, we've talked about it a little bit, but if there's one thing that you could share with the audience as we wrap up this episode, what is your experience been like from your perspective since Monday?
I have so many different thoughts. I'm like, which one do I choose?
Just one.
Why did you put me on a spot this way? With one?
Just one. Because I know we're going to talk about it.
Mondays. We just celebrated 25 Mondays. And you talking about one?
Just one. Just one that's probably maybe the one that's had the biggest impact or been the most fun for you, whichever.
Yeah, I'm fresh off birthday. And so this somewhere around after the 23rd Monday, I believe, or around the 23rd Monday, maybe. Yeah. What's happened to me is I'm experiencing love and open to love in ways that I never was before, whether it's through text message, whether it's through a FaceTime call we did, and even, just for you all I feel heard. How about that? I feel heard. And I feel heard, and you all are loving me through the process of like understanding what you're hearing from me and just pouring a lot of love on me. So that's happened to me. And my birthday, I don't even know if I'm leading up to this story the right way because I'm still overwhelmed. Can y'all tell? Like, I'm still overwhelmed.
Just a little bit.
I've always shared because we have this platform like openness and vulnerability and, integrity. Like, I'm pretty much sharing for the most part, even if it's in corporate language, like how I feel and what I got going on in my brain. I feel comfortable doing that here without being judged. And so I've shared with you all from a birthday perspective, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I just, I just be like, I haven't had a great birthday since I was 25. I'm 38 and fine. So that's 13 years ago that I hadn't, that I just shared with you all just in conversation, like not expecting you to do anything with it. And so somewhere between the 22nd and the 23rd Monday, my sisters came out and surprised me for my birthday. And I got the video to prove it. You can run the roll to show that even though I was trying to loss prevention my way to figure it out, but I could still talk about that and like have to catch my breath with just how loved I felt in that moment, turning around, looking at you all in that restaurant and getting to spend what I had pretty much declared is not that much of an important day, but getting to spend that with you all and pretty much change the narrative about how I celebrate myself. And it also just plenty of light bulbs around just being in a relationship, which I know we'll talk about that in another segment, but like, y'all can come in my town and I'm gonna accept you. Everybody can't do that. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I promise
where y'all going? Did you make bedding arrangements? Not y'all though. Because I was like, y'all can stay at the house, But just something that I know was big to get a plane ticket and, book an Airbnb. But it just meant so much to me that I'm still having a hard time. I'm in awe and shock, kind of like we were when we were like, okay, this is Since Monday is a thing and all the stuff we were feeling that day. But I've just learned to receive love and feel love differently as a result of how we spend time in relationship with one another. I find myself running things through if I'm doing something in non-Sense Monday environments, I'm running it through the Sense Monday filter. Like, all right, so what? I wonder what Jay gonna say. I wonder how Dana. What would Dana do in this situation? Like so. But it means that like I'm learning and I trust and like it's an exchange of love that we have for one another. And you guys have given me just so much knowledge and I don't know. I keep using the word love and I'm still overwhelmed, but it's just since Monday, I love bigger,
That's
deeper.
good.
I love bigger and deeper. And I'm grateful for that. I didn't think I'd be here when I was 21 years old. I was like, I don't do women. But God he had the gut and cut and all that stuff just to get me to the place where I could receive love the way y'all show it to me. And I feel like the most blessed and luckiest little sister on earth and in heaven. I'm
Come
blessed.
on, come on.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's such a great way and great way to describe your experience since Monday. And it is a place of challenge, like to challenge the way we do things, see things. I love that about what we're doing. And I mean, in relationship, I mean, professionally, I mean, I keep saying there's not anything that's off limits. And I think that's a testament to it. So I love what you said there. So we're going to wrap up this episode and challenge our audience. Challenge our audience. If you want to submit a Monday myth, and it doesn't have to be associated with Monday, but just something that you're experiencing in your life or that you've heard us talk about that you want to hear more about, we'll leave a way in the show notes in the description for you to do that. And until next time, we love you. All right.